It looks like Hogwarts Legacy from 2023 is probably the best thing that Warner Brothers has going right now. Or should I say Warner Brothers game has going right now, because Lord knows it's not any of the most recent video games they came out with. You look at games like Mortal Kombat 1, and you look at games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and you look at, Gotham Knights and all those other games. I mean, no one's really talking about any of that for the most part. And there had been rumors and talks about Warner Brothers Discovery probably, getting rid of their gaming division altogether. But there's actually had been rumors going around that making a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest priorities of Warner Brothers, as it should be, because you look at how much money that game has made in such a short period of time following its release over a year ago. That game made over $1 billion, I think, in less than a year. It sold over 24 million copies across multiple platforms. And I'm talking like PlayStation 5, PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And it was probably like the most popular action role playing game of 2023, and it's a game that has a certain level of appeal to it that like normal games don't have for the most part in this day and age. And I think it's mainly because it's based off of it's actually in the same universe as the Harry Potter novels, and it actually takes place I believe like a century prior to like the events of Harry Potter. And I guess like the game is pretty much like it's like the Harry Potter game that we deserve, but we never got. And it's something that people were impressed by. Like you look at the aesthetics, and you look at, I guess you look at like all the magical abilities, and the control that players have over the students, and pretty much learning new things and evolving and all that. All those things appeal to a lot of like diehard fans of like Harry Potter and all that. Even though the Harry Potter series arguably peaked in popularity back in the 2000s, I believe the franchise still has a cult following. That they still have a lot of fans of the Harry Potter novels and movies to this day. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like a Hogwarts Legacy 2 is something that Warner Brothers needs to prioritize, mainly because they lost so much money on the Suicide Squad video game, and on top of that, Mortal Kombat 1 didn't sell nearly as much as it should have. And I think it's been about a year. And I believe Mortal Kombat 1 did somewhere around the ballpark of 3 mil in terms of sales. And then that was something that came out a few months after its release. Now, about a year later, I haven't heard anything different. So I'm not exactly sure if the sales significantly went up, or whether or not Mortal Kombat has went back to just being something that's just niche for the most part. But either way, I do feel like like the fighting genre of gaming is kind of like taking a hit in terms of popularity. I feel like action RPGs and RPGs in general are still as popular as it was back in the teens decade for the most part. And I do feel like a potential Hogwarts Legacy 2 is something that can it could potentially save um, Warner Brothers from, I guess, like axing it all together, or it's something that would probably change their mind about, getting rid of it and all that stuff. Because there had been talk about them, just pulling out of it altogether, but then trying to get licensed to like certain franchises like DC or whatever, so they can continue trying to make more money off of it and all that stuff. But I heard that a Hogwarts Legacy 2 is something that will be years off from now if it ever does happen because Hogwarts Legacy just came out over a year ago, and to make a polished game like that, it's going to take some time for the most part. And don't think for one second that Warner Brothers isn't going to try and make as much money off of this game as they possibly could before they come out with a sequel. If anything, I feel like Hogwarts Legacy is a game that could basically it can basically work as a film adaptation or what have you. But I don't know. A lot of video game to film adaptations are not done well, and it's something where if it's done wrong and if it's like really bad, it's something that can potentially harm an entire like video game franchise and make people lose interest in it altogether. But yeah, the idea of a Hogwarts Legacy 2 is something that sounds really appealing. I feel like it's something that would, garner more interest in some of the more recent games that Warner Brothers Games has put out within the past year or so. Because right now, I think they're still trying to live off of Batman's name after they killed him off in the Suicide Squad game, and and I think that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Can't really do much about it. And I feel like DC, for the most part, they won't be able to compete with Marvel in relation to gaming because Spider Man is like way too popular. We have a Wolverine game coming out in the future. And we also have a brand new Blade game coming out in the future on the PlayStation 5 on dates that have not yet been revealed. So I'm looking forward to hearing more to this story and whether or not. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be a thing. When the potential release date is going to be. Are we going to get it on the PlayStation 5, or we're going to have to wait for like a next generation game system like the PlayStation 6 to come out before we see that, and whether or not the budget for Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be bigger than that of the first one, considering how much money Warner Brothers has lost recently.